Okay.
Welcome to our first live event, the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. I am Ashley Cleveland, the founder of Africa Investors Academy and founder of Africa Investors Academy Summit. Thank you so much for joining. But first, be sure to like the stream and share it with someone who will find value in it. So, what are we doing today? So, today we are bringing you inside and giving you an inside peek into the Africa Investors Academy, which is a community of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and investors who are investing, growing their businesses, and doing business here on the continent of Africa, specifically in Tanzania and South Africa. And today we're talking all things Zanzibar, and a bit mainland Tanzania as well. As you know, I have lived on the continent for going on 3 years and have a love affair with Tanzania. Some call it Tanzania. And I wanted to really bring an intentional conversation to the community because we're in really interesting times. And so the goal of this summit today is to give you insight into what it looks like to be a member of Africa Investors Academy, but more specifically to give you some inspiration and information around investment opportunities in Tanzania, specifically the beautiful island of Zanzibar, Tanzania. So we have some guests, but first I want to give you a little peek into what Tanzania is like if you haven't been. So here is a really beautiful video that we will show you now. So let's see. Wow. Tanzania is so beautiful, right? Oh my
Indeed.
gosh. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the stream. Please say hello, like it, and also share it with someone who would find value in it. And let's jump right in. So, I want to introduce our guests. We have April Ernest of the NOVUS Law and Advisory Group. April is going to be talking about the legal and regulatory environment of Zanzibar and giving us some insider information into the opportunities and some of the incentives around what it means to be an investor and to do business in Zanzibar, specifically around the areas of tech, real estate, as well as agriculture. All right. And so our next guest is Justa Lujwangana. She is an expert on all things Tanzania, founder of Curious on Tanzania. And both of these amazing, incredible women are going to be working with us and actually leading a lot of the work around our actual Africa Investors Academy Summit in Zanzibar in August of 2023. So we'll get into that later. But in the meantime, please be sure to like the stream, share it with someone who would find value, and get ready to just be inundated with great information. So get your notepad ready, get your questions ready, and we're going to jump right in. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Ashley.
Hi. Yay. I'm so excited to see you all. It's
Finally.
been forever. So can everybody just give us a brief introduction? We'll start with you, April. Let us know a bit about your industry, your business, and then let us know where you're dialing from because we're all over the world right now, which is amazing and
I
so
mean,
exciting.
thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Nice to see you again, and nice to meet you as well, Justa. So, just to dive right into it, I am April Ernest. I am a managing partner for a boutique investment advisory firm and corporate law firm. So, we are based in Dar es Salaam, and we also offer services in Zanzibar. Our areas of practice are mostly corporate, investment, business advisory, helping different interested members set up in Tanzania in different categories that they didn't fit in terms of the sector that they're aiming. We also offer immigration services and so many other services. Right now, we are mostly focused in real estate practice and a lot of corporate. As you can see, Tanzania has opened up quite a lot in the past few years, and we are only just catching up as officers. So I'm glad to be here, and I hope that we can all connect further following every development that we'll be discussing today.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that introduction. And Justa,
Oh
please.
yeah, sorry, I am also dialing from Dar es Salaam.
Yes, I was wondering if I would have heard that. Okay, yes.
Right.
I'm Justa Lujwangana. I love everything experiences. I was born in Tanzania, but then I left for the US at the age of 12. So I'm currently dialing in from New York City, right on 42nd Street. um, and what we do is basically is very challenging for a lot of people who do not know about, like, let me say, Africa in general, or even specifically Tanzania. And when they're looking to travel, they where to start, they don't know what to do, where to start. There's so many challenges and so many hassles.
Yeah.
So we're curious in Tanzania. We make it easier for them to be able to navigate the world of just getting an introduction of what Tanzania is all about. And then later on, if they're ever interested in anything else beyond that, we could be able to help them. So we are an experiential travel company. We do focus a lot on of course going to safaris and all the fun stuff and everything, but also the introduction of various opportunities. Just making it easier for them to be able to understand it. So that's how we're an experiential travel company. I am based mostly, like, let me say 75% I'm on the ground in Tanzania, searching and looking for like the best of the best. 30% of the time I'm here in the US, trying to educate people about the country, and also seeing what else are they seeking and helping them becoming that bridge, that bridging gap, to help them to get into Tanzania and be able to have a great experience, and see what else they could be able to do there. So that's me. That's me with Curious in Tanzania. We have a team of almost like 30 and above.
Wow.
And it's been exciting. 10 years in the game. It's been really, really exciting. And Tanzania is definitely the future. And we hope to host all of you guys.
Yeah.
Amazing, incredible. Okay, great. So let's jump in. And you're in New York. And so for those who don't know, I'm here in South Africa. So we're on all different time zones, which I love, which is just so kismet. I just love that. But just jumping in, I think one of the biggest questions that I get asked, that I see in all of my YouTube comments, this is going to be for you, April. What are the rules and laws for foreigners to buy land in Zanzibar?
Okay, so this is a question that we get all the time. As you know, just as beautiful as it is with Tanzania, many of the people who actually come to Tanzania start off on a touristic, aim. And then following that, they find themselves very intrigued with the country. They find themselves very interested with the opportunities that the country has to offer and just the human resource and the culture that exists. So, to answer your question, at the end of the day, they want to stay. To answer your question, as a general rule, Zanzibar, we speak, no foreigner is allowed to own land. That should also be understood that with respect to Zanzibar, Zanzibar owns the most of the land that is within Zanzibar is owned by the government fully, and therefore even its locals, that is the people that are born in Zanzibar, are able to own the land, that is the property that is on the land, for about 99 years leasehold period. For anyone who is, for say, who live in mainland Tanzania mainland, or foreigners, they do not hold any rights to the land. They are alternatively given about 33-year leasehold tenureship, and following that, that 33-year leasehold can actually be renewed. It's a gradual renewal of the title deed. Um, in addition to that, recently there have been, for the purpose of promoting investment within the island, the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Agency, as well as its government, teamed up and decided to designate a few areas, about 5 free economic zones, whereby these locations allow for foreigners to own property um, fully. And the catch is that you would need to, for a foreigner to own the land, they would first have to establish a company. So this answers the question that foreigners would be allowed to have a derivative right of occupancy over a piece of land within Zanzibar mainland for the purposes of developing it for commercial purposes, say agriculture, raising it into a hotel or a restaurant, or any of those activities that can be undertaken within the commercial properties that are available for Zanzibar. I don't know if that would answer your question, Ashley. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, it does. It does answer my question. And I think what you shared around the economic zones is really what we'll be diving into today. So, for the purpose of this call and Investors Academy, we talk about doing business and investing on the continent. And so, how are you able to do that? Because for a lot of people that do know about doing business on the continent, we hear, oh, you can't buy land. Well, there are opportunity areas, and Zanzibar is one of them. And that's why we're so excited about this moment in time and our upcoming summit in August, where we'll actually be doing land visits and learning more about what that looks like. Okay, so Justa, this next question is for you. So, what are some of the opportunity areas that you see for people in the diaspora that are traveling once they experience, Zanzibar with you? I'm sure they have all of these different ideas. What are some of those ideas in conjunction with your expertise that you see as opportunity areas for people that are looking to do business in Zanzibar?
I think having an eye of a New Yorker, I should say, in this case, and also in Tanzania too. So like I do like a lot of comparisons. And I feel like also people who are traveling, coming from different parts of the world, once they get into, especially like Zanzibar, they could be able to see what are the missing pieces, and see how they could be able to kind of contribute into those missing pieces. And some of those areas could come in tours and also activities that are available. So I went to a conference, but I think probably it was like October. It was an investment conference hosted by the Tourism Board of Zanzibar. And they were speaking to a lot of investors. And one of the areas that they were speaking in, which was like a specific one, which was in tours and activities, they are looking to see how they could be able to use kind of like, let me say, when it comes to the different forests that are located in Zanzibar, for example. You go to Juzani Forest. In, let me say, for example, the US, there's a lot of like zip lining experiences and all of that. So one of the things that they were doing is they were pitching, if somebody understands the world of adventure, including like zip lining, you could be able to bring in like your business for zip lining, bring it to Tanzania or Zanzibar. The government is looking to give contracts to things like that. And there's way more activities that are needed in the country because we're going to have a lot of people coming in. So the various activities that you enjoy, whatever country you're in, and if it's conducive in Tanzania, and you could be able to bring it as a business, because Zanzibar is a target market for like all the tourists that are coming there, and they want to be able to experience different experiences on the island. But if it's not available, it's really good to kind of venture in seeing how you could collaborate with the tourism board, with the government, to be able to bring those resources in. So that is in tours and activities. The other area is definitely in real estate. Of course, building smaller, between like villas, accommodation. Like accommodation is well needed in Zanzibar. They do have different ways of how you could be able to invest. So there's a lot of the bigger investors who are on the ground already, and they're looking for people to go into, let me say, when it comes to resorts and all of that, timeshares and all of that is also available. It's becoming more available now in Zanzibar. Yeah, those are like the two main areas that I see when it comes. I mean, it's huge areas where it needs a lot of power to be touched on, and especially when it comes to like tours and activities. And I see a lot of growth, a lot that's needed within Zanzibar.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much, right? And so sometimes it's hard to like really run down, but I think these are really great gems. If this is resonating, or if you that's listening and you have a business like this or a business idea, or you've done this, obviously like adventure, right? I wouldn't just suggest like, oh, I want to get into adventure. I've never done this a day in my life. No, when Justa is talking about these type of opportunities where the government is actually looking to, partnership and provide contracts, like this is something that you've done. This is something you're familiar with. You understand the logistics of, you understand how to acquire equipment. Yes. And you can bring that with you. There's definitely opportunity to, one, have a profitable business, but to come in with a really, I wouldn't say completely soft landing, but a warm landing, because there are these type of opportunities available. So for April, what are some of the incentives, right? So that if you could talk about around, establishing a business, then purchasing land for the purpose of business, to be able to, do your business. What are some maybe 2 or 3 incentives that you could share with the community on, that are being provided in Zanzibar?
Okay, so I could just share, first of all, in terms of just setting up base within Tanzania, whether it's the mainland or Zanzibar, there are many categories that are offered. You can set up yourself as a foreign company that's already existed in its parent company, wishing to set up a branch in the country. That's an opportunity that's available. There's opportunity to also set up a local entity with a foreign companies or individuals owning that company 100%. There's also opportunities to have a company that's set up within Tanzania that has a shared partnership between the locals and Tanzania. Now, there's also an advantage of having locals in the business, but then most of the advantage is more on the commercial aspect, but little on the legal aspect, save for some sectors that do have a local content requirement on them. Um, and in terms of incentives, there are various incentives that are, um, attached to foreign investment within in Tanzania, mainland, and Zanzibar. Now, in terms of property, real estate and property investment for foreigners, you can have around the free economic zones. You could foreigners can stand to have incentives for with the likes of having residence permits issued to them and their families and children between the age of under the age of uh, 0 to up to 20 years old, they could have residence permit access. There's also incentives such as 100% repatriation of your income. There's some income tax also incentives that can be deducted. Um, Also, in terms of just the incentives for entering or the entry point or capital requirement for such business, you would see that for property, for investors that have bought property or are looking to develop property, they're advised for having strategic investment ideas or strategic projects, investment projects for the size of a capital of around 100,000 US dollars. So for a minimum of 100,000 US dollars entry within the real estate and property development sector, um, investors can be offered different types of incentives from their immigration status, standing to have 2 to 3 year incentives for residence permit with their families. They can stand to have some exemptions on capital gains tax on the purchase, some exemptions on stamp duty deductions, and the like.
I was just taking notes. I hope y'all are taking notes too, because that's incredible for people that are looking, because that's one of the things that I advocate on the channel, diversification. Now could not be a better time for people living in specifically the US to look at a global lifestyle, to look at an opportunity abroad, as this is no longer a conversation, this is no longer a theory. We are in a global economy, and to have an opportunity to experience life outside of your home country, and opportunities to earn income, opportunities to save on taxes, opportunities to have residency. This is one of the most important things that I advocate for, that I've been learning as I've taken on this lifestyle of living on the continent and just understanding the power of diversification. So thank you, April, for sharing that. So Justa, what are some of and I wonder, and please tell me if you're comfortable. So for people, tell me about doing business as in tourism, right? So what are some of the advantages and the upsides of doing business in the tourism sector for Tanzania? If you missed the video that we showed in the morning in the top of the stream, you'll catch the replay. But Tanzania is such a beautiful country, such a broad landscape, so many places to see. And it seems like it would just be one of the best countries to be in the tourism business. Can you talk about the advantage of being in business in the tourism space in Tanzania and Zanzibar, and also kind of the financial upside, like what it would look like to be in business part-time, what a person could make in USD, and what it would look like for somebody that's going hard doing this, 40 to 50 hours a week, as people tend to work in the US, even though it's probably not realistic in Zanzibar, but giving that type of understanding that type of work style.
Tourism. So in tourism, there's different touch points. So as a person who's coming into business within the tourism sector, you just have to determine what touch point you want to be a part of. So we usually think of the client as the baton, and the baton, you have to take it from one point to the next, to the next, to the next. So those, all the various touch points, you could be able to decide which touch point you want to be a part of, and then you give the baton to somebody else, and they keep on running with it. For example, let me say if you are based in the US and you want to work in partnership with like a Tanzanian, that is possible. And this is basically like when the clients are seeking to be able to travel to a particular country, you could be able to be like in the middle of like a DMC, the middle person, to help them get into that journey and set up the infrastructure that way. When the client gets and I'm taking you through the process of how the client travels, because that is like, it makes it a little bit more sense, and that's how there's various different touch points. You could create a business around the activities. What particular activity are you interested in? Create a product which supplies to the whole chain of the tourism sector. All the hotel, because like people need accommodation, create a product that gears towards that. When it comes to income is almost limitless. I know there's certain other companies where they've grown so big, where they own their own hotels, their own transportation vehicles. They have activities which is their own, and they literally almost like 100% of the pie could be able, 80% of the pie could be able to go towards them. So it all depends on where you want to hit into the touch point. It could be the almost like 80% of it, or it could be the 10% of the touch point. And that's also how you'll be able to get your results from it. And then everything is multiplied. So you get one thing and you just like multiply it as you go on. I hope that makes sense. That's how we do it. But yeah.
No, it does. And it's hard sometimes to talk about like what that could look like, because to your point, it's really what sector you want to focus on. It can be somebody who puts together trips. It can be somebody who puts together trips and it holds resorts or does festivals, or does something every quarter, every month. It really does depend. But the point of it is really the opportunities are endless, right? And so we'll be talking a lot about this in Zanzibar in August. I will share the link later for that. And so look out for that in the links, but we're going to jump into a couple more questions with April, and then have maybe about 15 minutes for Q&A. Questions are going to be coming from the members of the Africa Investors Academy first, and then we'll take a couple of questions in the chat when we're ready to go. All right. So April, if somebody does say they get into business and they purchase, they create a business, they purchase some land, and there is a situation that goes awry, what are some of the risks that investors can, plan for, prepare for, and what are some of the things that you think investors should consider to mitigate some of those risks?
So first of all, I think I'll start with the things that investors should look to consider to
Okay.
mitigate any risks. The first thing is we always require investors or any interested person that is looking towards setting up in a different country from where they originally reside, we would normally request them to seek legal advice. And we actually require them to seek and advise them to seek more than one legal advice just to have a comparative approach, because there are different legal officers, and many of them have, as much as the law is very direct with it, sometimes this information can be missed out on. So it's very important that people seek legal advice. And in conjunction with that, we also advise them to seek tax advice. It's very important to get tax and accounting advice, so that they can you can be able to understand how your capital, how your investment can be realized, how you can make all the remittance and the period that's required for you to make these filings and returns with the government. It will give you a better picture with the sector that you're looking to invest in. And sometimes you might have that outside approach or an approach from the developed side of your country, but then if you're coming into a country that is maybe still in an infant stage with its startup in that sector, it's very good to explore um, existing businesses that are there. Ensure that you have the right legal advice in terms of the content, the legal framework that surrounds it, the structure of your investment, your share distribution, and all of that is very important. In terms of when it goes bad, when we talk about the risks, as I mentioned, that the country is growing, it's opening up doors very much, very fast. It being now the middle income country, I mean, labeled as the middle income country, it's in just the past 2 months, it's had a lot of trade missions and visits from different countries from Europe and America. With the last trade mission, I mean, we do know we had the vice president visit us, and she just left a few days ago with also some of her team that traveled yesterday, and I think some of them leaving today. We also had the pleasure of discussing and hearing some of the relationships that have been built in that area, and all of these also go into supporting and improving, or I would say reducing the risks that were there initially, that were not able to be resolved on time, just because of the growing relations and the growing economic um, available presence with the country in the international platform. It's a good direction right now. So to not to not say so much, I would say that the for if anything goes wrong, the company's laws and the dispute resolution framework is structured to be able to cater for both local and international players. Tanzania itself is labeled as the international sector, is as the international center for international settlement of disputes, and therefore big commercial, I mean, corporate investments that are between different states are able to be resolved in a very amicable way that ensures that the foreign entity does not suffer so much grievance or loss during this investment period. At the same time, again, I would like to also remind, when a company is set up, it automatically has its own separate legal form and entity, and it's only limited to as far as the liability of the shares that has been subscribed by that individual. And for that, that means it could always be liquidated, provided that you follow the right steps to ensure that all liabilities are cleared within the regulatory authorities. You will be as smooth as how you entered and left the country.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Because I think there's a huge misconception that people think, okay, some of this is misinformation, some of this is sensationalized content online, where people, foreigners are coming, I think specifically African Americans, are having this conversation where they're, oh, not, it's not business as per usual that they're familiar with, right? And so thank you for answering that,
I mean,
because that is a lot of, of course, as it should be, a concern for people that are, have not done business globally, have not expanded their international investment or business. But as April said, one of the best ways to mitigate that upfront is to seek legal counsel in advance, multiple getting a lot of different insight, because you come to the country, you think, oh, I want to do business. Somebody you meet at the hotel lobby or in the Uber car tells you they have a brother who knows somebody who can get you set up with some land. Somebody else know how to get you some permits and set you up
yeah,
real quick with a bank account, and you're all in, and you sign documents, and yeah, you've got this business dealing,
yeah.
but you have no idea really what it means. So spend the
And
money up front with an attorney. April will share her information at the end, and you can absolutely contact her directly. So will Justa. But the advantage for folks that are members of Investors Academy, Africa Investors Academy, will be able to have office hours during our first live in-person event in August in Zanzibar, which is going to be a total vibe, and just we'll be getting so much more information, and going, on a deeper dive. So I am going to tell you a little bit more about the trip, and then we're going to get into questions. So if you have a question, please in the chat type question with the semicolon, and then what your question is if you want me to answer it. Efri, I see that she's answered it. And then we'll hop into that. So let me go ahead and my Dada did that video. She went off, right? Isn't that video so good?
That's so good. It's amazing.
So good. I love it. I'll show it again. I'll show it again towards the end, but we're going to get into some questions and answers. I just want to say thank you, ladies, in advance before we get inundated with questions. Thank you so much. I'm so excited and enjoyed this journey and working with you. And it's like really happening. I'm just so thrilled, honored, and humbled to have your support, your expertise in this journey. And I am super hyped to be working with you guys along the way. All right. So if you are in the studio, for people that have joined that have the private link, those are members or people that have RSVP to the event through all of the promotions we've been doing, right? So if you want to have access to be able to get your question answered, to join live streams, please go to ashleyinafrica.com and sign up for our email list. You'll get special invites to upcoming events. Early bird pricing when it's announced, different programs and incentives that are available. So that link is in the chat. We're going to have some members join. Tracy, your mic and cam are not connected, so fix that. See, Blair, are you there? Can you hear us? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I'm making lunch right now, so I just
no problem. Welcome.
yeah, I'm here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I will be there in December this year, and I'm really just looking to find attorneys or agents in the real estate sector to buy or build properties. So I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. This is the I've been looking online, and is there a list somewhere that I might be able to check out and just start contacting people, or I just want to have something in place before I get there in December. Is kind of what's happening. So.
Absolutely. So LinkedIn is what I would recommend, but you have April here.
Mhm.
And so she'll share her information at the end of the call. So I'm sure she'd be open to connecting with you. Her um, contact is in the description, possibly. If not, I'm assuming you have gotten some emails from me, or you've gotten some emails, and so I've definitely linked her contact as well in those emails. But I would be sure to connect with her, and after working with her one on one, I'm sure she can point you in direction of just additional support that can help you to get additional resources.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining the stream. All right. Henry, I'm going to add you to the stream. Let's see, let's go ahead. Hi, Henry. Welcome. Oh, he dipped. Yeah, okay. Bye, Henry. All right, so be sure to like the stream. Let me hop in this question. Okay, so we got those questions answered.
We have a couple questions in the comments.
Yes, we do. Let's see. I'm not going to answer that question. So Efri asks, are children allowed to come to the investors event? Yes. So we're working on some pricing. So that is actually something that once you, Efri, I believe I haven't seen you in the academy. So please remind me in the comments if you are in the academy. So access to the event is for members only, right? So if you want to come with us to Zanzibar in August of 2023, this is for our members. Right now, we're about 25 strong. And so we want to really encourage people to join the community, because we're going to be doing a lot of onboarding, a lot of preparation, conversations, to make sure that we're as prepared. We want to get feedback from our members so that we know exactly what is important to them, what they need. And these are one of the questions that we were asked in our last meeting. So we are setting up a separate agenda for children for Zanzibar. So it will not be the price that is listed, but it will allow the children to come, depending upon the amount of children, stay in the same room with you, get access to the activities that we will have planned, as well as obviously the meals that are included. All right. Justa, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the activities that we've talked about that the kids would be are going to be most excited about?
Oh, definitely. So we'll have, of course, the during the conference, which is the first 3 days when you guys are there. And we'll be in Stone Town. So we're gonna be going from art classes to cultural experiences that they'll be doing. Of course, learning about history of Zanzibar, and also just history of, like, let me say, for example, our ancestors. Some people would say going to the slave market, but I would say going over to know who our ancestors are. But like, it's a lot of it will be kind of like a study abroad experience for the kids, I should put it that way. So they will learn a lot. Our team will be there. We'll both have like a female guide and a male guide to kind of help in terms of like making sure the kids are well immersed and you guys don't have to worry about them. But there's a lot of activities that we're going to incorporate in.
Awesome. Okay, so we have another question. This one is also going to be for you, Justa, around tourism. So Charlene says, what are opportunities that include a school to train people for the tourism industry?
That's very interesting. 10 years ago, there was no such thing as I mean, in my when I was starting out tourism, I had to learn everything myself from scratch. So there's various schools here in the US that teach you about tourism, specifically about Tanzania, knowing Destination Tanzania, the product. We will be starting something using my personal experience to be able to educate people how to tap into the tourism sector in what departments. But it's a lot of we do need a lot more schools. We do need a lot of more facilities, and I think that's an area. If you see something missing, probably that's the area that you might need to get involved in. I should say, but yeah, you might need. If you see anything missing, that means that's an opportunity. And if you need to speak to me, I'm also available. But we'll be able to start like a coaching session, so you could be able to learn more and to hone in on what is your really good experience or what you're really good at and turn it into a tourism product.
Yes, great question. Okay. So Dr. Dixon, hi, Dr. Aaliyah Dixon. So she asks, so we have to join as a member first. I see two different memberships. Which one is for the Africa Investors Academy membership, just for the trip only? So if you would like to join as a member of Africa Investors Academy, you can either join monthly or join for the year. So monthly is $89 per month. For the year is $497, which is about a 60% discount over 12 months. So between now and August is 4 months. I'd recommend just ongoing, just because you'll get some incentives with that trip. We are going to actually be opening up the summit to the public. So we're going to have a 2-day summit. Members are going to have VIP access during that summit, as well as access to office hours with April. If you are bringing children, they are the folks that are going to be covered, because people are, hiring different support teams. So I really recommend, looking at the Academy for the long term, because if you are looking to do business on the continent in general, it's a journey, right? It's a process. It is very different than doing business in the US, but it is very much worth it. And you want to have a community of people that are in it doing the same thing as you, because you want to have sounding board to ask questions, ongoing support, people that can relate to you, that can give you access to their resources as well. So I do recommend, looking at it as a long-term initiative, but membership gives you those two options of monthly or annual. All right. Let's see. Yes, Charlene, she says, yes, that was a great question.
There was a quick question I was asking about if Tanzania has dual citizenship. No, we don't have dual citizenship, but April could be able to explain more on that.
Yeah, I mean, there have been talks about the foreign ministry has been talking about dual citizenship. This came out of large outpour of the diaspora that are Tanzania diaspora living outside of the countries. Many of them are now looking to return back home, and for most of them, they are at a dilemma whereby most of them already have passports from in the countries that they're living in. And initially, our immigration laws are, you would say, a bit outdated, as in they are very old and they have not been changed for a very long time. And therefore, those laws still apply to the fact that there is no dual citizenship. However, there are discussions to start promoting dual citizenship, but they were going to start phasing it out. So they're going to actually start considering working on policies that would facilitate and enable first the Tanzanian diaspora, and then spread out to the other nations that have, foreign treaties, or bilateral treaties that they've signed with them. So I would expect that they are considering to start with the Tanzania diaspora and then looking to the more broader global diaspora, starting with the African American groups that are living around. I mean, the African American and also natives that are living around the islands, the Caribbean islands. This is only because we have a previous existing uh, agreement whereby Tanzania has a history, I mean, is known to have also received the Jamaicans back in 96. And I think that's the trail that they're going to look into when they start rolling out I mean, enacting that decision.
Awesome. Thank you. And we kind of chat about this on the channel, also in the community. For Americans, sometimes our thoughts around citizenship can just be specific to how we are in America, where we see a lot of migrants and foreigners coming in and always kind of, hearing their challenges with residency options. And there is, a privilege for people in America that are traveling abroad, where we have at this point in time a very, powerful, a very powerful passport that allows us to travel throughout the world, to have extended time in certain countries. And so citizenship is not always required to live a life abroad, to do business abroad, to, live all over the world. Citizenship isn't the only way. However, it seems to be one of the things that a lot of us kind of like harbor on for a sense of security. So there are other options like residency options, extended visa stays. But, these are some of the things that we talk about on this channel as well as in the community. There was a really good question that
talking about that, I
I
think
mean,
somebody
if I
had,
could add, if I could add on.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If I could add in terms of the entry points, I would just advise. I mean, first of all, commend everyone who's joined this call. This is a good outlook in terms of what we are expecting to have. But I would also advise everyone in terms of um, just approaching the visit with a very fresh face, very fresh outlook. It's very often that you would see many travelers, visitors that are coming into the country with coming in with a high expectation, mostly reflected from how their way of living or accessibility has been, given to them, and sometimes would be a little bit slow, frustrating when they are actually on the ground. But again, um, the country is at an infant stage in terms of its full development. And this is a great time to be a part of the canvas. This is a great time for you to make all of the relationships, to build all of the relationships and the imprint into the country. When you wish to come to the country, there's so many opportunities that are there to allow you to have, connections with the country while you're not even on the ground. You can, in terms of the visas, as an American, you have a multiple entry visa that's given to you, and that's valid for up to 12 months and can be renewable every 3 months when you leave and enter into the country. There is also possibilities of extensions of up to 30 days when you have lapsed your 3-month visa. There's also opportunities to have a business visa, whereby it allows you to come into the country to stay for up to 90 days to carry out meetings, business meetings, visits, and any other, establishments from a commercial perspective that you already built on here. So again, there are options, and they're continuing to explore further options and incentives to allow the new informal sector that has pushed through, especially following the outbreak of COVID and so many changes that took place within the working economy. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Justa, did you want to piggyback on that?
No, she already did. I was going to touch on the visa process, but she already did.
Awesome. Perfect. And that's a great answer, because so many people ask that question. This one was really great, coming from Seabreeze Realty. Is agritourism common? How often is seller financing done for real estate in Zanzibar? April, will you answer that? Can you answer that?
Okay, so agritourism is growing in Zanzibar. Zanzibar is and prides itself with big crops such as clove exportation, cashew exportation, seaweed processing. That's within the blue economy side, but then they also kind of tie that into um, agriculture, and as well as, so I mean, I would say that agritourism is growing, but it's been there for a very long time. However, it's still there's still room to improve it, because again, it's broad in its sense, and there's so much product and product line that's out there that requires the right marketing point and packaging that can boost the entire ecosystem. Um, Again, seller financing for real estate in Zanzibar. It is also there right now. I mean, in terms of just the financial sector, there are different solutions that are being explored right now, especially with these new investments coming from different countries and new ways of dealings. So the country is doing its best to capture all of these exchanges and ensure that transactions are carried out and beneficial to both players. So the speed or the rate, I would say, at which seller financing occurs in Zanzibar is pretty much averagely high, I would say.
Okay, great. And then, Justa, will you touch a little bit on agritourism? Is that a part of what you do with Curious? Is it one of your touch points?
Not technically.
Okay.
No. I would say I would just lead you to a person who knows it, but no.
Okay, got it. Got it. All right. And then I think we're going to take one last question around because yes, so can Tanzanian businesses attend the summit? So yes, we will be opening up the summit to Tanzanian business owners, entrepreneurs, anybody that is going to be in Zanzibar, August 7th and the 8th. So we haven't announced the venue. We will be announcing that, but we have announced the itinerary for people that have an interest in joining. And so we do have the link is live, but if you are not a member, you're gonna get your money back. Okay, so but you can go and look at the full agenda that is available online for you to see, and then stay tuned. You're subscribed already to the channel. If you want to get email updates, please go to ashleyinafrica.com to get on the email list so that you'll be the first to know when we release early bird summit tickets. So we'll be doing day passes as well as summit passes for the summit at different tiers that will allow you to potentially have some strategy sessions, to be in our expert luncheon, to sit in our mastermind meeting as well. So you just want to stay tuned. So if you're not already signed up to the email list, go ahead over to the website, ashleyinafrica.com, to get those email updates as they come in. All right. Any final words, please? April, will you let us know where people can find you, how they can contact you? Yeah, and all of the like.
All right, thank you. I'm just actually trying to type out on the chat my contact details, and I'll also share that with you so you can just circulate my details, my email mostly, and my WhatsApp number and mobile number. We also have a website, so I will share that with you as well. It's www.novulaw.com. You can just get an insight of most of the work we've done and the achievements we've acquired so far in terms of the investment sector. And we're a growing firm, and we expect in terms of the real estate line in Zanzibar to grow exponentially. So definitely, I look forward to touching base with everyone and seeing you all in person. And hopefully, we can get to help you get situated in the country the best we can. So I'm just going to share my contact details on the private chat, and then Ashley will also circulate that. Thank you again, Ashley and Justa,
Yes,
for
thank you so much, April. Yes, absolutely. And so if you go over to ashleyinafrica.com, the Investor Summit, Zanzibar 2023, you will find April's website available there. You can go directly to it if you've RSVP'd for the event through going to ashleyinafrica.com. You've also gotten an email with that direct link, but be sure to contact her with any and all questions around the legal corporate law environment of doing business in Tanzania. And for members of the Academy, there are also incentives with working with April ongoing. So members receive priority opportunities for in-person calls, ongoing strategy insights from our partner here, April Ernest. So thank you, April, again.
Thank you.
And Justa, thank you so much for joining. Please let the folks know how they can reach out to you, where they can find you, your social handles, and all.
Oh, definitely. So I am available on Curious on Tanzania, especially like on Instagram or everywhere else. Just Curious on Tanzania or curiousontanzania@gmail.com. And you can reach out to me there. I'm available. I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to see to venture into like the opportunities you're looking to do. And then when we are planning your trip, we could be very specific and help alleviate the pain of like looking for certain things when you get on the ground.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for joining so much. I want to honor your time. There are some more questions. So folks that want to stick around, I will happily answer those questions in the chat. I am going to send April and Justa off with so much love and gratitude. Thank you for joining our first live stream summit, virtual summit. I hope you all found value in it as well. If you're catching the live stream, please be sure to share it. I'm going to, as they are exiting, I'm going to just play our video one more time. And then if you have some more questions, I'll be answering additional questions in the chat for about another 15 to 30 minutes. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Ashley.
Bye.
Everyone else, bye.
Awesome. So let me pop back in here to answer some of your questions. So Tanita, your question got answered around the blue economy. So yes, there will be conversations around blue economy as April and Justa spoke about separately, a blue economy around adventure industry, agro-tourism, even marine biology, just a bunch of different stuff. So we will be touching on that in the actual summit for sure. And absolutely we'll have an exciting guest that will come in to talk about those incentives as well. All right. Yes, baby.
Can I just take that tape out?
Okay, I'll tell you later, okay? If you have a question, please put the word question by it so that I can answer your question. And if you didn't get your question asked, go ahead and ask it again, because there's tons of questions here in the chat and I do want to honor everyone and make sure that I answer those questions. All right. All right. I feel like I see everything. I don't see any new questions. Any discussion for Black Americans having to do more of a streamlined process? I think as April talks about business, this is this is an opportunity for us to lean into the opportunities that do exist, and there are opportunities that do exist. So people that have entrepreneurial spirits, business mindset, have a streamlined process to enter into the country. And so this is the opportunity that has been afforded to us that April talked about. In the academy, we have different content to help you in that process. So what it looks like to establish a business abroad, what does that look like from business planning to company profiles, to building your team, to communicating your economic impact, right? So understanding what that looks like is going to give you the best opportunity. And so what we do is talk about the opportunities that do exist and lean into those so that we can make our way in these new countries. Trust Move says, is a visa required to enter Tanzania or just a passport? So you do need a visa. You can, as an American, receive a visa upon arrival. That is $100 US. However, I do recommend now that they have created an online system for you to apply online. You can apply online, get your visa before you arrive, and you can pay via credit card. You can pay with a card upon arrival. It's just going to make your experience probably a bit longer, in the event that there's network challenges or the line is just super long and everybody has a card. The best way, in my experience, has been getting in with cash or going ahead and applying for your visa in advance. So, Ahaba, you asked this question, safety. Can you be a bit more specific? Dr. Aaliyah, so you mentioned a 2-day summit for the August Academy. When are those days? I'm not getting emails, but signed up. So go ahead, go over to ashleyandafrica.com. The entire agenda is there and available for you to see. The dates are available there for you to see. All of the social media, the dates are available. That 2-day summit is going to be announced more locally. We'll be launching a website for that through Eventbrite so people can buy summit tickets to attend that event as well. So if you don't necessarily want to join the entire 8-day, 7-night experience, you do have an opportunity to, find your own accommodations, come to the summit. However, the summit for the members of the Investors Academy are going to have a beautiful 8-day, 7-night, 5-star luxury experience with our private drivers, private events, member-only events. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic time. Dr. Indigo, are there speaking opportunities? If so, what is the contact info to pitch session ideas? You can head over to ashleyandafrica.com. My information and email is all there. My email is also available, I believe, in the description of this video to pitch a session idea if you have one, and if it's in line with what we're doing, we'd love to have you. Oh, thank you, DFS. Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome to the African continent. Thank you, Don. All right. I don't see any more questions here. Okay. All right. Mr. Oludamare, do I know any trustworthy companies that you could invest in on the continent? So this is why we're doing this event. I advocate for entrepreneurship and investment, and I advocate for people to make their voyage to the continent. The best way that you are going to, discover your own, because someone who is trustworthy to me may not be trustworthy to you. The way in which I'm used to doing business may not be the way in which you're used to doing business and communication strategy, et cetera. So, it's really important to make your own visit, spend an extended period of time, right? So there are many people that advertise, these opportunities of doing business and going back and forth, which I do think is an option for many people. The majority of the people that I work with find value in building their business and growing their business here on the continent, as well as their lifestyle, even if they're spending, 6 months at a time, right? Being in a place where your business is, especially in the beginning stages, is really, really important for you to find success. So, that's my answer. I know it's probably not the answer you were looking for, but in reality, you need to make your visit to the continent so that you can develop and build those relationships to be able to feel comfortable with your investment. Or look at opportunities for people that are seeking investment that you feel like you can trust. Rosalind asks if she'll be able to join the summit if she's already in Tanzania. Absolutely. So we'll be releasing those day passes probably within the next month or two for the summit. My thoughts on BRICS and the dollar. Well, I've already done a video on that. That's not what we're talking about today, but thank you, Cheslin, for asking. Question, is there a certain USD amount you should have to start investing? I think it depends on what you're doing investing in, right? So this call was really kind of a informative session into some of the opportunities inside the membership academy when we understand what people's interests are. So if you're doing tourism, tourism is a lower barrier to entry. So there are lower capital requirements because you don't have any really heavy startup costs, right? You may need to get a website, you may need to, create some email list, but for the most part, that's a low lift versus if you are going to go into real estate, right? And so I think April touched on, purchasing land at 100,000 USD to get, 2 to 3 year residency permits in Zanzibar, right? So there is a huge range depending on the type of business. So if you're just going to, let's say, invest in a project, it would be what the minimum investor is looking for. So in our academy, we have businesses that are already on the ground doing business in Zanzibar that are seeking investment. And so those are things that you'll have access to as a member of the Africa Investors Academy. RT Student Mom, can you go ahead and ask the question again? Because I'm not sure where it is, but I'd love to answer it for you. So as of now, I'm not familiar with any restriction to travel into Tanzania, but I would recommend that you look at the website as the regulations and rules can change from day to day. But as of now, I'm not familiar with any regulations. Oh yeah, you're welcome. So on the website, there is a difference in pricing. Actually, let's do this. Let's go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to share the website. So you go over to ashleyinafrica.com. This is the website. You can go down to the first section, list Africa Investors Academy Summit. These are the dates. This is early bird pricing for our members currently. And this $3,589 is per person for double occupancy. Okay. So this is the event that you've all attended today. As I mentioned here, you'll find the link to April's website as well as the link to Justa's website, and their contact information is there, available there. These are the links to secure your spot. This is the agenda, right? So you can come back and look at the entire agenda. So we'll arrive into Dar es Salaam day one, arrive into Zanzibar day one. We'll have the welcome dinner. Then getting to business part one, tourism and tech. This will be open to the public, as well as getting to business part two, real estate and agriculture. So we'll be learning about these different industries. We'll also have some government officials in attendance. We'll be announcing those folks strictly to folks that have booked their trip. So those are going to be very confidential meetings that will be privy only to people that are booked. But those are going to be literally the decision makers, the people that provide incentives, the people that know the rules in and out, that will be giving insight on day 2 and 3 for the industries of tourism and tech and real estate and agriculture. All right. And on that third day, members of the Africa Investors Academy will receive one-on-one office hours with April and her team, where she will be helping people establish their businesses. She will be helping people with any investment interest that they have from those sessions. We're also going to have some business owners, entrepreneurs, people that have active projects that they're looking for investors of. People will be able to enter into MOUs, which are memorandums of understanding that they are interested in investing in those projects. And those hours will be available only to members that have booked the entire summit experience, to really put it in writing that you're there to do business, right? Then day 4, we're going to have a real estate and land site visit. So we're going to be visiting some development sites that are in those economic zones that April talked about that are offering residency. We're going to be visiting some land that are outside of those sites as well, but we're also going to be visiting some real estate tourism spaces that are looking for investors. So we'll be doing a full day of site visits day 4. On day 5, we'll be doing some transformative discoveries around the blue economy. We'll be doing a yacht cruise in the beautiful, beautiful, what I like to call African Ocean, also known as the Indian Ocean, and kind of come down from a day of just opportunity, giving gratitude in the ocean. It's going to be a beautiful day 5. Day 6, I'm going to be leading some sessions around mindset and wellness work. Coming from the US, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of anxiety around what is happening. And so we really want to spend a day where we're working with people as they're making huge decisions around business, huge transformative decisions around, building their lifestyle outside of the US. And then also to April's point, how she talks about a lot of, the need to come in with limited, really zero expectations, because when you're in Africa for the first time, even a beautiful place like Zanzibar, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to see that are going to be new for you, that are going to evoke a lot of emotion, that are going to, evoke a lot of confusion. Just there's going to be so much. And so part of the work that we do here, once we do transition to the continent, is healing. And I talk a bit about that, but ongoing, building a business outside of the US, even in the US, is not an easy thing to do. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to be learning some traditional African techniques, as well as some globally renowned techniques around healing your body, shifting your mindset, and really rediscovering our inherent abundance in our land of abundance, in our land of origin on the African continent. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a silent day of reflection and intention. And for those that have attended any type of mindfulness, experience where you are quiet for a full day, it's just going to be an opportunity to reflect, journal, and we're going to be doing some sound therapy. We're going to be doing a lot of beautiful things, sunrise yoga. So actually throughout the entire week, we're going to be doing some wellness integrations into this work, but we didn't have a ton of room. And a lot of that is going to be a part of it, because I believe not only in entrepreneurship, but in peace of mind, wholeness, peace of spirit, wellness, what it means to be a beautiful woman, what it means to be a beautiful man, a divine feminine, a divine masculine, a loving, nurturing woman, a loving, nurturing mother, a loving, nurturing wife, a loving and nurturing husband, right? So a lot of our journey in entrepreneurship is also as equally important as our our success in partnership and relationship and love in our families. And I want to make sure that we touch on that. Right. And so here, office hours with Novus Law Group, that's an error, that's a typo, because we moved that to the top of the day to really give ourselves opportunity to return back to a place that's probably going to create some anxiety, right? Unless you decide to extend your trip and stay a little bit longer, which is very likely. And Justa will be working with people that will be interested in extending their stay, because believe it or not, people come to the continent for 10 days and they're realizing, wow, I really need to stay. And so that does end up happening. But for this trip, these are the prices. So Garden View rooms start at $35.89. That is a shared room, a double, 2 people in one room. The single room is $44.90. And then if you're looking at an ocean view room, which they are spectacular, they're literally spectacular. For a shared occupancy is $41.49. And then for a single person, it's going to be $52.30. So these prices only include the below, right? 7 nights, 8 days, 5-star accommodations. There's going to be a group airport transfer because several of you will be coming in on the same flight. There are the activities and tours that are listed in the itinerary. You'll have a travel concierge support 24/7 and before the trip that will help with visas, etc. This also includes government fees. We'll have a private and professional driver throughout the trip, tour guides, ground transportation, and many meals. So breakfast is going to be breakfast is included at every morning. We've got some group dinners. Even during the summit, we've got some lunches. So for the most part, most of the meals are covered. Like 80% of the meals are going to be covered. Right. And so it is including all of that. Right. What is not included is your round trip airfare. So you just have to get your flight to Zanzibar for those dates. Right. Your passport and entry visa fees, any type of vaccinations, if you decide to get them, if they're required, please refer to the Tanzanian travel website for those requirements, as they are changing regularly. Alcoholic or soft beverages. So at most of these meals, the soft beverages, juices, waters will be included, but not all, right? Alcoholic beverages will not be included. Any travel insurance, which we do highly recommend, any activities outside of the itinerary, nightlife, entrance fees, if you decide to go out and turn up, it's a beautiful place, I recommend it. And then, any meals outside as well as tips, right? So those are the things that are not included in the trip, but here are all of the links. So you can head over to the website to get all of these details for yourself. All right. Hope that answers your question, Roz. All right. Okay, fantastic. Is it safe for women in Africa, and just the resources to ensure our safety? So I'm a woman in Africa. Every woman on the call is a woman who lives in Africa, and we're thriving. And I'm not sure where you're calling from, right? Or let me know where you're joining from. But unfortunately, you likely are, if you're in the US or the UK, I feel way safer in Africa than I ever have in the US. So that's the answer. Which country is best for education? Well, that depends on education. I wouldn't say there's a best case scenario. I loved both. My girls were in school in both, and I love both. I also advocate for homeschooling and world schooling. So, it's really personal preference. I don't think that there's a better or, right? Dr. Aaliyah asks, you think you're going to book a personal call? You're coming, but you want to get started ASAP, as I heard flight tickets are expensive in the summer. Absolutely. So go ahead and book that call with me. We've connected before through social, so you have all of that contact information. And expensive is relative, right? So the beautiful part of Zanzibar, it is a year-round destination. So it's always beautiful, like always. It's a beautiful place year-round. Your so this is also going to be based on your experience, your what you're interested in doing, right? How big of a business. So manufacturing, there is a manufacturing ecosystem here in South Africa. There is advanced infrastructure, distribution channels, advanced you know delivery systems, e-commerce platforms here in South Africa. There are natural resources all over South Africa. South Africa imports natural resources from other parts of the world and continent. So, it really depends. I'd say Zanzibar is there's less infrastructure in the actual island of Zanzibar to actually, source, manufacture, distribute, if you're going to look to do that outside of Zanzibar. But mainland Tanzania, I know some fantastic beauty brands that are based in mainland Tanzania that do phenomenally well, that are growing, that are seeing really high growth. So, it really just depends on your business model, your growth strategy, and what you're hoping to do. Efri, meaning share with another adult in the academy or someone that you come with, right? So obviously we wouldn't put you in with somebody you don't know, but yes, if there are, if there's someone within the academy that you connect with, that you really, want to vibe with, yes, absolutely. All right, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for all the support. I see just so many loving, responses, so much energy. Thank you. I am so full with gratitude. This has been a journey and a dream come true. So if you have an interest in joining Africa Investors Academy, the link is below in the description. You can join us now to get access to early bird pricing. The prices will go up and we will sell out. So we're expected to sell out within the next 60 days. But we'd love to have you, which is the reason why we decided to open it up to the community, for day passes, which will be a really interesting experience for, and an opportunity to join the communities of foreign investors, diasporans, and, Tanzanians and Zanzibaris, because we need each other. We need to work together, and we're so excited to be doing this work. So if you enjoyed this content and you enjoyed the stream, please be sure to like it, share it with someone else that would find value in it. I'm going to play our video one more time as we exit. So until the next video, I will see you soon.